Good morning and welcome to the second episode of Move's Ecosystem Dialogues. Today, we're going to be focusing on answering one of the biggest questions around EVs in India: charging and the availability of chargers. Because if you look at any report, range anxiety is one of the biggest hindrances affecting the adoption of electric vehicles in India. To join episode 2 of Moves Ecosystem Dialogues, today we have with us Mr. Kartikey Hariyani, who is MD, TecSo and CHARGE+ZONE. Mr. Hariyani, welcome to the show, and thanks a lot for talking to us today.
Thank you, Mukul. Thank you for having me here. Good morning to all of you.
Perfect. Uh, Mr. Haryani, the first question that I wanted to ask you is about the state of EV, electric vehicle charger deployment in India. How happy are you as a consumer of EVs yourself? And how happy are you as somebody who is leading this deployment from the front?
I think, Mukul, it's a very valid point that you brought up when it comes to solving range anxiety. The adoption of electric vehicle is directly proportional to or directly proportional to the strength of EV charging network across the country. Now, let me try to answer the second half of your question here. That how happy I am as a consumer. Now, as an EV owner or electric car owner, it is clear that I haven't bought this car only for my intracity usage or commute. I bought it for my intercity travel as well. And the state of EV charging network in the country is improving for sure. It's not about us at ChargeZone who are building up the charging network. There are other companies who are also leading the way in terms of setting up high-speed charging network across the length and the breadth of the country. However, let's also understand the speed at which the charging network is getting evolved, and whether it is keeping the pace along with the EV adoption itself. That's the biggest question that we have in front of us. Uh, EV journey in India or EV ecosystem across four-wheeler per se started post-COVID. In fact, it accelerated. There was a kind of a base effect, but it accelerated over the last 3 years, where almost all the automotive OEMs have launched either an electric car or an electric bus, and now even light commercial trucks or heavy commercial duty vehicles as well. It shows that the e-mobility is an irreversible process now for the four-wheeler segment. And why I'm going to talk mostly or focus discussion around four-wheeler is, is the sole reason that at ChargeZone itself, at ChargeZone we are fully focused on high-speed charging and to some extent even overnight park and charge facilities for our consumers as well. So in a nutshell, yes, I think we can do much better, but at the same time, you need to keep the pace with the adoption of EV. In other words, the number of vehicles that we sell or replace the IC vehicles. So let me give you one stat over here. Currently, on a monthly basis, just 1% of the sales is by automotive OEMs in EV four-wheeler space. And I personally believe that the moment we cross a threshold of 5%, for example, or 7%, that will be the real inflection point where you will see the acceleration also being done by CPOs to deploy more chargers across the network.
Interesting. I mean, could you, Mr. Kate, could you elaborate on the, you spoke about numbers, but could you elaborate on the business models that, CPOs are operating around in India today? And do you see, them evolving, kind of reinventing the wheel? Do you see more models coming up? And what's the model that's being followed today the most by CPOs?
Right. I think CPOs are largely focused on the fleet charging business. We call it B2B business, and the other one is the retail charging business, which is B2C. While B2B is a clear case of business opportunity, which makes a very clear-cut case of a P&L positive in terms of the P&L basis, as well as in terms of EBITDA and so on. While B2C is a demand risk approach, that you are setting up the chargers across highways, across cities, urban pockets, and so on. But then you are assuming that the utilization will pick up. Now, Now, one cannot do without another. It is also not possible for a CPO, and I'm talking about a CPO. I'm talking about the top five, top seven CPOs in the country, who adopted this dual model to grow and even survive. Yeah, I like to highlight at this stage, Mukul, is the CPO business is extremely tough business. It is a combination of hardware, software, technology, locations, capital, resources, expertise. It's all it's a very multi-dimensional approach one needs to take to build up a business as a CPO. But none of the CPOs are actually profitable globally. Even at ChargeZone, we turned a bit positive a couple of years ago. We are looking for how we find the ways and means to become PAT positive, let's say 3 years or 4 years from today. But having said that, the business model is pretty much a crystal clear item as on date, and it is always a question which always used to come earlier, whether it's a chicken and egg story. For me personally, there's nothing like chicken and egg because the infra comes first, then the EV adoption. But as I said earlier, it's a pace of development which is crucial over here. The pace of expansion and setting up the charging stations across various locations is a key over here. So having said that, the business model of CPO is ultimately to deliver energy as a service, as I call it, or EV charging as a service. And this is only possible by massive capex that is required. Close to by one estimate, it is at least a $10 billion of capex that will be necessary across both slow AC charges as well as fast DC charges in order to make EV adoption at least to the threshold of 30% in the country by 2030.
Uh, is capex the biggest challenge at the moment, or do you think that there's a bigger challenge than capex for this?
Um, yeah, Mukul, I think like any other business, there will be multi-dimensional challenges, right? But when any business like in an EV charging network, which is capex driven, capital is a key. It's definitely one of the very high entry barrier that has got created, not by CPOs but by the nature of the industry itself. Now, having said that, apart from capital, it's also how well you execute, how well you make the charging experience very reliable, very seamless for your customers. And I think that's a key point over here. You mentioned range anxiety. I will rather call it reliability anxiety. Yeah, because the charging points are now visible. You travel across most of the highways in the country. You will see at a gas station. You will see at a restaurant. You may even see at various kind of 4-star or 5-star hotels these days. There is an EV charging facility made available as an amenity to the guest. But whether the charger is functioning, is working or not, it's becoming a bigger headache. Uh, and the reason is that the charging stations are unmanned in nature, and and the reliability anxiety, as I say, it's nothing but the uptime of the charging network is one of the key challenge for a CPO. Apart from that, the other challenges are pretty much run of the mill. It was very original challenges earlier, but now I call it pretty simple challenges. Is the quality of the location. Uh, we have a tagline at ChargeZone. We call it "We love to recharge you while we recharge your car." It means that the location need to be supported by various amenities, and the reason is simple. The rationale behind that is an EV charging is a 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes experience, and you got to have something around your EV charging station. Yeah, to enable your customer. He could be an EV owner, he can be even a fleet driver, but something else to do. So the quality of the location also is equally important as much as the capital and the reliability that you are working out to make your charger as a similar experience to any kind of customers visiting your network.
Interesting. The reason I mentioned the word range anxiety, though you mentioned it now, and you've said reliability anxiety, is because a few days ago I was talking to one of my friends, right, and he has recently brought an Hyundai Ionic, right, and then there are friends that I know that have brought Tata Nexons, and then all very good cars, right, very good cars. But then there's this new friend I would not name, who is in the market for buying a new EV, right? And he went to this dealer, right, of a particular brand, and he wanted to inquire particularly about the fast charging, right? So this dealer tells him, and I quote his words, that this dealer's words, I'm quoting, that sir, we would not advise you to do fast charging very often,
Right.
right?
Right.
But what would we would advise is that you do the charging overnight every day
Right.
to make sure that the health of the batteries stays intact. Now, that could be a problem on the dealer level. I do not know, Karthikeya. That could be a problem on the OEM level. I do not know. But isn't this, if I might call it, that the dealer himself now is being part of the ICE lobby?
Well, Mukul, I think it might be not a good idea to rush to the judgment over here. But let me explain where this thing is coming from. I'm sure your friend would have inquired about high-speed charging network across highways, because in India the ownership of per family is not more than one car, and when you buy a car, you're going to sweat out that asset. And also from the sustainability point of view, I would not recommend that a family of four should be having two, three cars. I mean, yeah, surely it's personal choice. I have no one to really comment on that. But coming back to the Indian consumer mindset is that yes, I have an EV. I like to sweat it out because I've anyway paid for that asset. Now, now let me technically explain here. Probably will spend a minute on this. Is fast charging is not detrimental to the quality or the life of a battery. Uh, there is a data which very clearly mentions that one fast charging cycle after every two or three slow charging cycle certainly won't be affecting the quality. At the same time, the practical recommendation is going even further, that there can be one slow charging after every three fast charging. So there are relative touch points that one can look at it and evaluate. Now, having said that, I think through you, Mukul, a message can be sent to the OEMs for a better training and imparting knowledge skills, knowledge tools rather, to the dealerships, and explain to them that in a probably obviously layman's terms, about AC and DC charging, slow and fast charging, and at the end of the day, Mukul, let's see the practical aspect of it. Even if you buy a car today, I don't think you are driving more than 50 kilometers a day. There is an industry data point which indicates that 80% of Indians, they don't travel more than 15 kilometers per day, which means that your home charging or your park and charge, overnight park and charge, will suffice your daily mobility requirements. However, your 20% of your mobility requirement need to be met by high speed charging. So at the end of the day, I think I think whichever end you see, the combination of AC and DC charging certainly is not going to harm the quality or a life of the battery. So it's the biggest misnomer in the market, and I think this needs to be sorted out or cleared, through forums like yourself. Yeah.
I think one of the friends is. I mean, I think you cannot see the screen, but I think one of my other friends, is watching this right now, and he's just texted me saying that he was advised the same thing. Additionally, he was told that the chances of thermal runaway increase when you do fast charging by the dealer. So,
Okay, as I said, I mean, the battery expertise is very niche globally. Everybody, we want to quote as a battery expert, but in reality, that's not the case. Now, the thermal runaway is as we have seen in some of the two-wheeler incidents, was primarily that those kind of batteries in two-wheelers are air cooled and all. But if you buy a car, most of them are coming with a very advanced cooling systems, very
okay.
advanced BMS mechanism as well. As a result of this, the battery management per se, yeah, is far superior in a four-wheeler compared to, let's say, two-wheeler or three-wheeler. So I think one needs to look at the perspective of an OEM who are producing these cars. If you really see, car manufacturers are not some young companies or startups. Yeah, those are one of the biggest brands in the world, having access to the best of the technology and the expertise that they develop such vehicles. So I can tell you, be rest assured, I've personally been driving an EV for the last 4 years now, and not a single incident of any kind of runaway, thermal runaway or even a charging problem ever occurred, at least in 4 or 5 cars that and our entire team has, because of business needs. But rest assured, I must say that it's far safe as an EV car compared to even a diesel petrol car. Yeah.
Perfect. Karthike, this setting up EV chargers, right, especially DC ones, is a big business opportunity for a lot of people out there, right? For somebody like Mukul, who's interested in, let's say, who has, land near a highway and he wants to set up, let's say, three fast chargers, DC chargers, right? But I don't have the capital to do that. If I come to you, right, do you have, or are there finance options available in the country if I want to set up three fast chargers via the finance route? Is
So,
that
so
easily accessible?
yeah. So Mukul, I'll be honest over here. Yeah. So let me try to answer the question in two parts. The first part is yes, if you have a land or a good location, at CHARGE+ZONE we have a model called DOCO model, which is called dealer-owned CHARGE+ZONE operated, or even work under COCO model as it's called CHARGE+ZONE owned and CHARGE+ZONE operated, and we can partner with you because you have a land, you have a great location. However, yes.
Uh, Kartikey ji, I think your internet, your bandwidth is kind of. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes,
I can
Philip.
hear you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
am I
yeah, you were
back? Sorry.
answering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apologies.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, no.
so we have a model called DOCO and COCO model, where if you have a land, if you have a great location, we are happy to invest into that location. But now, whether you as an individual would like to set up the charging station, I won't give a recommendation, a strong recommendation at this stage. Yeah, unless you are willing to take a demand risk, and even willing to take even a write off risk one day. However, and the reason is simple: if you do not have an amenity around you, if you do not own a restaurant or a dhaba, or on a highway joint, I won't recommend you to invest into a charging station yet, because it's too early to really predict the utilization, the returns on the investment, and so on. But yes, CPOs like us are always looking for good partnerships in terms of the locations, and happy to engage with you if you have one.
Perfect. So, when I was speaking to Amitabh Saran from Altigreen during the first episode of, Moves Ecosystem Dialogues, the biggest problem that he is facing today is the availability of finance to get those vehicles financed to end consumers, right? Is this problem, to ask you directly, is this problem something that is affecting CPO business as well, or does this problem uh, not at all exist in the CPO business?
Well, Mukul, there is access to capital is one of the biggest barrier. Not an it's
Okay.
rather, let's say, entry barrier for any CPO to even to expand, to start into a new geography or a territory, new markets, and so on. But let
Okay.
me go back to what Amita mentioned. Yes, the financing of EV is a key here, followed by
Right.
the utilization of the EV charging stations which CPOs are investing. And as we hear, there is an expectation by the market that the EV sector might become a priority lending sector pretty soon. I'm pretty sure of this announcement coming sooner than later, which will drive the EV adoption in the country. Now, having said that, for CPOs, there are various options to raise money. There are obviously equity is the best way to start with, but when it comes to some of the other business models like B2B, there is a fleet charging and all. There is a reasonable amount of traction in both equity and debt financing or asset-based financing. Yeah. So the options are emerging as far as both financing of EVs as well as the charging business is concerned.
So things are getting, what you're telling me, that things are getting slowly and gradually, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. And so what does having more EVs on the road automatically translate to having CPOs like you enable deployment of more charges? Is
Absolutely.
this chicken and egg?
Absolutely, Mukul. I mean, as I said, we are doing it. We are already electrified or rather enabled more than 20,000 kilometers of highway travel in India. The longest stretch we have done is from Jamnagar to Chennai, yeah, which is roughly 2,000 kilometers. Yeah. Similarly, we have done Delhi, Jaipur, then also connecting Jaipur, Ahmedabad now. Delhi, Agra, we have done Chandigarh. Even we have connected Ludhiana, Amritsar, Mussoorie, Rishikesh to Delhi. So the highway adoption is increasing. Or rather, let's say, highway electrification is increasing, and hence the EV adoption is now driving the customer to go on highways as well. Yeah, because that's
Okay.
one of the most important use case which EV owner is looking for. That I should be able to travel once in a while from Mumbai to Pune or Chennai to Bangalore and so on, right? In an EV. Now, having said that, we at ChargeZone are looking to electrify roughly 50,000 kilometers by end of next calendar year, by December 25.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
practically you'll see, even if you take a car today, even if you travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada, you'll find us there. You go to Hyderabad to Bangalore, you'll find us there. And importantly, there are new partnerships coming up with various OEMs like Hyundai, Mercedes, MG, Mahindra, and now even Tata Motors and so on, where there is a there is an information platform and at the same time a roaming platform which is getting created under what you call Open Charge Point Protocol or OCPI as we call it. Under that, when a user can have an OEM app to even discover or even transact the EV charging sessions through automotive OEM app, whichever automotive car or electric car that you are driving. So there are new initiatives which has started. But I'm glad to say one thing, that whatever we were expecting in 2025 is happening today. I mean, that is the biggest
Wow.
thing in our country. Yeah. Because we didn't expect all the OEMs to launch EV so soon, right? We expected maybe two or three of them. Now, practically all OEMs have either launched their vehicles or have at least announced
Announced.
at least the name of the model
Yeah.
also, yeah, including that. Well, next
Yeah.
December I'm going to come with this model also, and that's the important
Huh.
part. And
Huh.
apart
Huh.
from, and then just now continuing on the CPO business, it's not just the electric car or personal mobility we're talking about. We're now also focusing on the commercial vehicles, which are, as we speak, there are few OEMs just on the verge of a mega launch of electric trucks in the market, which are starting from 12 ton to 55 ton category. And that will be driving one of the important usage of the charging network. And that makes CPO business even more interesting and bankable as well.
Interesting. You say that you brought up commercial vehicles. You brought up partnerships. My next question was around that only. I was talking to the founder of Race Energy, right, Arun, right, and then this point came up about the challenges, right, and he told me that partnerships between OEMs and
CPOs.
startups or no,
Also.
yeah, no, not the CPOs, the
Uh,
companies like Race Energy
yeah,
are helping banks in taking decisions to finance EVs,
right.
because these battery companies or these battery as a service providers are ready to take the FLDG guarantee,
Yeah,
right, first loss,
correct.
the and then so practically the bank is only financing the vehicle and not the battery,
Not the balance sheet. Yeah,
right?
right, right.
Yes. So is that something that is also happening, when you say partnerships with bigger OEMs? Is that something that is facilitating these financial institutions with data that they need to support and cement their willingness towards financing more EVs?
Absolutely. Um, I think one of the reason why most of the financial services companies, NBFCs or banks, traditional banks, and so on, they were constrained with the lack of data. In an IC industry, that data exists for a century now, right? And the resale value of an IC vehicle is much higher, yeah, compared to an EV. Now that was the notion so far. Now it's all changing because EV is a connected vehicle. Yeah, you will always have data points for every kilometer of mobility that it covers, and that's the best part about this business now. And for banks, and there are young startups and also some of the advanced tech companies helping banks to create those kind of tools, analytics tools, dashboards, and so on, which helps them monitor the historical data of a particular EV, as well as the predictive analytics too, in terms of how it will pan out and what will be the resultant or a residual value of such a vehicle after 3 years or 5 years. Yeah, but yeah, Mukul, you have brought up a point where, as we speak, this is exactly happening within the financial service industry in terms of how they find an innovative way of financing the vehicles on the balance sheet level.
Interesting. Karthikeya sir, there's another thing that's coming up, right, that I see, an ecosystem, right? So, my first question for that ecosystem is, do you see a lot of CPOs today are not, willing to invest in battery swap stations? But do you think that this is one direction that you might also head towards, let's say 1 year down the line, wherein you'll have two fast chargers? Especially when I think I was in Indore when I shared the picture of your charger, right, on my
Right.
LinkedIn. Do you see, because I saw a lot of space there, right, which was practically still not being used,
Right.
apart from those two cars which would come in, get charged, and go away. I saw a lot of space for setting up swap stations as well,
Right.
right? Do you think that that's one direction that CPUs will also head towards, setting up battery swap stations near to the chargers they've already set up, especially the
Why
fast
not?
ones?
Why not, Mughal? It's possible, but I think the battery swap is a very different business than a plug-in charging business here. And as a result of this,
I'm so sorry. The reason I asked this question is because when you go to a petrol pump,
yeah.
right? When you go to a modern petrol pump today, you have a queue for CNG, you have a queue for petrol, you have a queue for diesel, you have a queue for high octane petrol, and then high octane diesel, if I'm not wrong. So five different fuels on the
Absolutely,
fuel
yes,
station.
yes, yes, yes. That's
Like,
true. That's true. Yeah. So
so
I think it's a very valid point. Battery swap stations getting coexisting with plug-in charging, but I think fundamentally battery swapping is a is a very different business compared to plug-in charging business, right? And battery swap is also focused on certain segment of vehicle like two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and there we have seen a very different playbook. If there are batteries which will be able, I mean small size batteries like 2 kilowatt hour or 3 kilowatt hour can be charged quickly, then that's a direct competition with battery swapping as an idea as well. Yeah. However, as we speak, battery swap companies are bringing in a very integrated model in the market. That is, they bring in the vehicles, they bring in the battery packs, battery swap stations, the necessary infrastructure, and also a reverse or backward integration towards manufacturing as well. So there are new age models which are evolving in a battery swap tech. But yeah, at the end of the day, there are I think yes, battery swap station can coexist with a plug-in charging, yeah, for sure.
perfect, perfect. Got my answer. Karthikeya sir. Next question is around the state of manufacturing of EV chargers in India. Are you happy with the quality of chargers you're being supplied by Indian OEMs at the moment? OEMs or ODMs, if I may call them.
Right. I think let me try to answer this in a different way. An electric vehicle charger or DC or AC charger is nothing but a, a bunch of power electronics and an embedded software. Now, if you really see, these capabilities have existed in India for a very long time. And on top of this, an EV charger is an IoT device. It is connected to the cloud as well. And I'm glad that most of the Indian OEMs are up to the mark, or they're meeting some of the global benchmarks as a EV charger OEM in the country. Yeah. So if you ask me, as at ChargeZone, we do not have any single charger which is imported. Yeah, these are all
Okay,
chargers.
wow.
Partnerships are all made in India. Yeah, and made by Indian engineers, Indian manufacturing expertise, including the service support, warranty support, and so on. So I must say that the Indian EV charger has already come of age, and I don't see any challenge in terms of quality and reliability of this equipment.
Interesting. And how many chargers have you deployed so far in India, and how many of them are fast DC?
Yeah, so we are now inching. By December, we'll cross 2,000 DC charges mark in the country, and
Okay.
we are anyway amongst the top three CPOs in the country, where we sell roughly 10 million energy units every quarter, and that's the utilization that we have across B2C and B2B network. And having said that, currently 98% is actually high speed DC chargers. Less than 2% are AC chargers, and those are only for some of specific location where there is a overnight park and charge facility that we need to provide.
Understood. Understood. And Karthikeya, do you see this? We see a lot of talk around solar panels being set up to power these chargers. Do you see that as a possibility in the long term, or is it something that has bigger challenges than the problem it is solving at the moment?
Yeah. So if we really see, okay, no, I think there's a little blank out. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry for this.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, we see a lot of talk and, a lot of on ground activity as well around solar panels being set up to,
Renewable energy
you know,
integration. Yeah, right. Correct.
yes, yes, yes. So, do you think that, especially in terms of solar, if I do not talk about other
Yeah,
mediums of renewable,
right.
because India has abundant solar access to abundant solar energy, right? Do you think particularly about India, do you see that as a possibility? Solar parks being set up, or your chargers being charged by
Yeah.
solar power?
Yeah, absolutely. So Mukul, there are two aspects to this. You can obviously bring a solar rooftop on a charging station, but that will cater to 10-15% of the energy needs. It does not meet 100% energy needs. That's very clear. And now that the open access regulations are further eased out in the electricity power trading segment and so on, you can obviously
Huh.
create a large solar plant and build the power to a very large hub that you might have created for charging buses or charging trucks. So this is a very
Huh.
compelling point now, which is coming of age. But I think we are still a year away from such large hubs being powered by or 100% powered by solar. So we are still probably a year and a half away from that. However, as ChargeZone, we have already started integrating solar panels at various rooftops. In fact, next month we'd like to invite you in Mumbai at the BKC Bandakula complex location where we have one charging station coming up with this integrated with solar rooftop. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So that is something that you are not only calculating but also piloting, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely, that's right. Yeah, it's all commercial rollout, not even pilot to be honest. Yeah, the days of pilot are already over for us. I mean, it's all
Okay,
commercial rollout that is happening. If it is viable, then only
okay.
we invest, others we don't.
Understood. Understood. Perfect. So, Karthikeyan sir, last 5 minutes, right? Wanted to, if you could tell me or tell everyone here the three biggest problems. One for CPO, second for EV deployment in India.
Yeah. Okay, so three problems or three challenges rather in each is a better word. So let me start with the EV deployment first here. So EV deployment or EV adoption, the top three challenges will be the competitive pricing of EVs itself, and that is a function of largely depending upon the cost of batteries and other components that forms up an EV. Again, the competitive pricing of EV is largely dependent upon volumes, so it's a very vicious circle there. But I'm sure that circle will be over in next few quarters, and we should be getting there as well. The second part is the financing aspect. This is very, very clear that without that financing, the EV adoption cannot happen or cannot be scaled up as we aspire to have one. And the third is largely focused on the awareness and the strength of the economy of the industry users, the personal mobility users, and ultimately, Mukul, it all boils down to your per capita income of the country. While the GDP is great, is going great, I'm shoulder to shoulder is growing very well, but ultimately it all boils down to what is a disposable income that I have as a citizen or a taxpayer in this country in order to shell out that upside on buying an electric vehicle, whether it's a scooter or even a three-wheeler or four-wheeler. So these are top three challenges that I see in terms of the EV adoption in the country. On the CPO side or EV charging infrastructure, uh, it is all on the pace of the new EV launches in the country. And again, it's also a function of EV deployment, which I just mentioned to you a minute ago. The top three factors. The second is the access to capital, and a strong flow of private equity coming into this space. We have done it in the past. There are a couple of other CPOs who have done it as well. And the last but not the least is how well you execute this. That is, there are multiple challenges around the grid, the locations, the reliability aspects, whether it is a power supply, whether it is a telecom connectivity, because all these chargers are also IoT devices, as I said earlier, and they are connected to the cloud. So, so this is that's a third most important point is in terms of how, as a CPO, I will handle this all multiple challenges at one go. So that's the third biggest challenge according to me.
Perfect, perfect. Uh, can I bring in the battery passport aspect here? Because the six problems that you've just mentioned,
Yeah,
right,
right.
they kind of synchronize with helping EV adoption. Am I correct to assume that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, correct. So, but Mukul, I think I will be happy to talk to this on just a particular topic in a couple of months, because there is something else we are doing over here at ChargeZone.
Okay,
But allow me
okay.
to come back to you when, and that is completely based on battery passport and battery as a service. But we'll talk about that once I'm ready with our team to deploy it in the market, and that is
Perfect.
especially for large vehicles of electric buses and electric trucks. Yeah.
Understood. But sir, if you could just tell us the idea of battery passport, what is the, don't tell us what you are doing,
No, no,
but
I
what's
understand.
the idea? Yeah.
The idea of
If
battery
you,
passport is very simple. Just like the word passport means you're tracking the citizen, the movement of citizens, right? That's the reason passport is there. A battery passport is that is all about uh, um, rather it's a combination of two models over there. One is battery as a service, as a fuel to my end customer. So his TCO becomes very competitive. And the second part is the same battery after 5 years should not find a way to the bottom of the ocean. Otherwise, this entire thing of sustainability, circular economy will go for a toss. Unlike what happened with plastics and our environment, I don't think any of the ecosystem player in EV will want to have this battery problem not addressed throughout the life cycle. So battery passport is actually tracking the entire life cycle performance of the battery and even the secondary usage of the battery as well.
understood. Perfect. Shall we take two, three questions from the audience?
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. The first question is, what's the if what's the journal amount needed or journal finance needed to if set up a DC charger if I already have a EV car, but I want to share that charger with the public network? How much more would I need to
Yeah, you
invest?
can. You're most welcome to invest on our ChargeZone network. We call it digital dealerships. In other words, it's a digital DOCO program, digital franchise program. So in that way, in that case, you only have to cut a check, and it starts from a figure of 5 lakh rupees and can go up to 5 crores as well. Yeah, depending upon your appetite. Yeah, but we have the locations, we have the network. You can. If you're in Delhi, you can invest on our location in Hyderabad or Bangalore or even Mumbai Pune highway and so on. Yeah. So the investment ranges from 5 lakhs to 5 crores. Yeah.
Interesting. This is an interesting question. Second one. We know how much of a battery can be recycled, but how much of a DC charger can be recycled if it goes dead one day?
100%. Yeah, because except for the guns, which is a wear and tear, that goes back to the charging guns I'm saying, but that goes to the other OEM for solving the problem. But if you say the DC charger as an equipment or even AC charger, yeah, this is nothing but very standard electronics, power electronics, and a mechanical cabinet. And as we speak, all of us are hearing ESG, the term ESG, very frequently. But ESG is not just a lip service nowadays. It's actually going in depth. Even as ChargeZone, and I'm working with my charger OEM partners or suppliers, vendors, etc. We are getting into the bottom of it. How much of they are bringing a sustainability or recycling or a circular economy adoption into their ecosystem as well. So it is becoming a very responsible and accountable process, ESG. And as a result, you'll find a lot of such initiatives that a battery can be recycled, even a charger can be completely recycled. And there are ways and means to do it. It's only the intent. It is only the initiative that one has to take and get the things done.
Perfect. Thank you, Kartikey, for joining us today. Any parting thoughts before we meet next time?
Yeah. Well, I have just a request or an appeal to the audience here on this call. Well, if you have a chance to buy an EV or you want to replace your IC with an EV, do not hesitate anymore. Yeah, the charging network is improving. The reliability of the charging network is improving as well. But as a is a big fan of automobile industry, I must say one thing: if you drive an EV, you won't like driving any other car in the future. Yeah, that's my parting thought for the moment. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kunal. Thanks, Mukul.
Perfect. Thank you, Kartikey, for joining us for the second episode of Move's Ecosystem Dialogues. You've shared a lot of insights, and I'm sure the audience would have loved it as much as I did. Until we meet next time on Wednesday, same time, this is Mukul Yudhvir Singh, editor from Electronics for you, saying goodbye. Thank you, Kartikey sir.